Good morning, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Welcome to Pathways to Success, where we turn the spotlight on the heroes of the Philippine economy, our micro, small, and medium enterprises. We follow their inspiring journey and give great insight on what it takes to scale up their business. We begin with an update from the ongoing G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro. Brazil's president is calling for international tax cooperation to combat inequality. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is once again pushing for a 2% wealth tax on the assets of the super rich. He argues that this could generate around $250 billion annually, funds that could be used to address both social and environmental challenges.
A globalização neoliberal fracassou.
For the crisis of multilateralism, more multilateralism is needed. There is no need to wait for a new world war or an economic collapse to promote the transformations that the international order needs.
We turn now to the COP29 summit in Baku, Azerbaijan, where the Philippines is urging for increased financial support for countries most vulnerable to climate change. The Department of Finance is calling for developed countries to pledge $1.3 trillion annually to fund critical needs in areas like climate adaptation, mitigation, and loss and damage. The DOF also demands the removal of barriers to climate finance, including high capital costs, currency risks, and heavy debt burdens that are limiting access to essential resources. The agency is calling for climate justice, stating that countries least responsible for the crisis are paying the heaviest price. As the summit enters its final week, countries are at a deadlock over a new financial goal. The UN climate chief is urging delegates to take swift and decisive action on this crucial issue.
I urge you, we'll only get the job done if parties are prepared to step forward in parallel, bringing us closer to common ground. Bluffing, brinksmanship, and premeditated playbooks burn up precious time and run down the goodwill needed for an ambitious package. So let's cut the theatrics and get down to real business.
The leaders of the world's 20 major economies are also being urged to play their part in combating the climate crisis. This call comes from the president of the COP29 summit. Now, while the summit is tasked with establishing a new goal for climate finance, it's the G20 nations that control the funding.
Their leadership is essential to making progress on all pillars of the Paris Agreement, from finance to mitigation and adaptation. We cannot succeed without them, and the world is waiting to hear from them. We urge them to use the G20 meeting to send a positive signal of their commitment to addressing the climate crisis. We want them to provide clear mandates to deliver at COP29. This is their chance to show their leadership.
On to news here at home. Dito Holdings, the telecom company owned by businessman Dennis Uy, prices its follow-on offering of shares at just over 1 peso each. This price is more than half of the company's initial maximum indicative price of 2 pesos and 15 centavos per share. If all shares are sold, the offer could raise around 2 billion pesos. The offer period will run from November 20th to 26th. This was originally set for late September, but was postponed to allow investors more time to evaluate the opportunity amid the current market conditions. DigiPlus Interactive is clarifying reports about its supposed plan to acquire Casino Plus. Earlier, Bilyonaryo.com reported that the two companies were set to strike a deal that could potentially transform the Philippine online gaming sector. If the buyout were to go through, the the combined companies would have a monthly revenue of approximately 10 billion pesos. However, DigiPlus says that while acquisitions have always been a part of their strategic plan, there are no final decisions or commitments at this time. Here's uplifting news. Gymnastics king Carlos Yulo adds Athlete of the Year to his list of accomplishments as 2024 winds down. Esquire Philippines hailed the double Olympic gold medalist as the country's top athlete. In its write-up, Esquire praised Yulo for, quote, embodying the spirit of relentless perseverance. Yulo made history this year after winning a pair of gold medals in floor exercise and vault at the Paris Olympics in France back in August. We are taking a break. Up next, we will talk to business coach Jose Leo Caparas Jr. about fostering fair employment relations and sustainable employment in businesses. Pathways to Success. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Magandang araw, Pilipinas!
Sa bawat issue may iba't ibang anggulo.
Sa bawat storya, may iba't ibang kwento.
Himayin natin ang bawat sulok at bawat kanto mula sa iba't ibang perspektibo na madaling maintindihan ng karaniwang mamamayan.
Every Saturday na po kami 10 to 11:30 a.m.
Kaya huwag kayong papahuli mga kabayan.
Manatiling may pakialam sa mga issue sa ating bansa kung kaya samahan niyo kami. Dito lang sa
Cuatro Cantos!
Good morning, everyone!
A platter of positivity, a cup of the hottest information, and a slice of what to expect for the whole day. With excitement, positivity, and fun. Join Paulo Del Rosario, Ann Asis Carrillo, and Monique Tuzon.
It's a beautiful day!
7 a.m. on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Business owners who prioritize building positive relationships with their employees unlock a myriad of benefits, including enhanced employee morale, increased job satisfaction, and improved business performance. But how can employers balance their interests between fostering fair employment relations and the current employment situation in the Philippines? We're back on Pathways to Success. Today, we are joined by business coach Jose Leo Caparas Jr. of Action Coach Philippines to help mentor our entrepreneur viewers on this topic. Welcome back, Coach Ju.
Thank you, Mai. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you again. Now, this is something we should discuss very timely because there is a balancing act that employers, particularly small business owners, face when it comes to hiring employees. Tell us about that balancing act.
Okay, so you have to balance the welfare of the workers and their families with that of the company. As a business owner, your ultimate goal is to have a commercial and profitable enterprise. And the worker is part of that. It's a stakeholder. As a business owner, you form the team. A team is an acronym for Together, Everyone Achieves More. And the
I
team
like that acronym.
takes care of the customers. The customers will provide the business, and the business will take care of the business owner. It should be a virtuous cycle.
Yes, you take care of your employees, the employees take care of your business. But how does market forces affect the businesses?
The market is merciless. So the wage is a price. And the price is set by the market. Employers look for workers, and employees look for jobs. So if you disregard these market forces, then you'll get into trouble. If, as seen in the screen, inflation rate has been in double-digit rates in the early 70s, 80s. So if employers base their wages when they call each other up, employer, best friend, how much wage are you setting for this type of worker? it's possible that they're comparing something that's from a low base, which disregards the dignity of the worker as a human being.
We're going to get more into that, computing wages, in a little bit. But right now, we'll talk about operating in the Philippines. You know, MSMEs, more than 1 million business enterprises, or 99.5% operating in the Philippines are MSMEs, but the unemployment rate is still high. There are still millions of jobless Filipinos. So there is an excess of labor supply. How does this affect wages?
An excess of labor, people who are not employed, drives down prices. That's why we have minimum wages set as a safety net to protect those who are employed. We've run the statistics. The latest one shows that the market's imperfect. There's usually an excess supply of labor that's competing for jobs and not enough jobs. That's why we ship plane loads of people abroad for them to cover it. But we have to keep in mind that wages should not drop before the level that undermines the dignity of a person. That's why we have something such as a minimum wage rate to serve as a safety net. However,
okay, well, there are, like you said, millions of unemployed, still many more millions underemployed. So now, how can employers strive to be more fair towards their employees?
okay. So everyone listens to this radio program. This program is an FM program called WIIFM. It's short for What's in It for Me. So employers, it's his personal, even if a profit motive, they have to make sure that their workers are earning enough to satisfy their basic needs. Because a dissatisfied worker is not productive. If that worker constantly worries where to get the tuition, the hospital bills, that worker could not be productive. But meeting the basic needs is not a sufficient condition. It's a necessary condition for that worker to be productive. Because part of their aspirations heals from many other things, not just wages, such as the nature of the work itself, the prospects for advancement, the culture of the company. So we have to balance these things.
Okay, what are the Philippine laws now that protect workers from this imbalance brought about by the economy?
That's right. So that's why we have minimum wage laws. We have laws on subcontracting. We have laws on allowing workers to form labor unions.
Let's go to the minimum wage law. How is this being implemented?
Okay. Studies have shown, first, of the people that are in the labor force, some are employed, some are unemployed. The number of unemployed, around almost 2 million. When if you must have entered this place near the studio called Araneta Coliseum, that could safely sit around 20,000 people. The number of unemployed is, imagine 100 Araneta Coliseums full of people. That's how many people are unemployed. And some are not yet even in the workforce. They completely are not actively seeking for work. Those are not statistics. They have a face, and they have to, if a person is unemployed, it wrecks your equilibrium. That's why you have to take care that they should be employed, they are productive, that the employer will get productivity from that worker, skills
Now,
to pay the bills.
Yes. Now, these laws that are supposed to protect the workers, are these also applicable to small businesses?
Well, there are exceptions to the rule. If you have less than 10 workers, then you are exempted from this law. If you have more than 10 workers, then you are qualified. But studies have shown, I have seen researches that around not many people are following that law. So,
Okay. So, Coach Ju, let's now go to determining wages. How should small business owners determine the salaries of their employees? What is the basis?
Okay. So first, all the repertorial requirements, what was mandated by law should be applied, because whether you like it or not, the law is the law. However, let's think abundance. Let's not limit it, because if you disregard market forces seen in the screen, we have, from business world, we've seen the legislated minimum wage law per region. And if we take into account inflation or the rising of prices of basic goods and services, it will see that even in Metro Manila, around 23% of that minimum wage is already eaten up by the high cost of living.
So, well, yeah, right now we're showing the daily minimum wage in the NCR. We're also showing what it is across the regions.
That's right.
Okay, so as a business owner, aside from demand and supply forces, what other factors should be considered in determining fair compensation?
Okay. So, again, we have to respect market forces. If our employer continuously pays a wage that is below the market, then they will get lousy workers. They will get workers that are not loyal. They get workers that they offered a few bucks more, they will jump ship. If an employee would like to get a job that is above their market forces, it will take time for that person to get a job, if they get a job at all. That's why whether we like it or not, the law of supply and demand will determine what is the current market rate.
Okay, I cannot see quite well the graphics we are showing. We are showing, the adequacy of existing minimum wage and effectiveness versus ultimate objective. Please explain this to us.
Thank you very much. So the minimum wage law, there are two, we have to examine this. Is it being implemented properly? Is it, what is the ultimate objective? Its ultimate objective is for it to be a safety net, that a worker should not go below this level. So is it being implemented correctly? Studies have shown that not everybody is following this minimum wage law. There are a lot of violations. Will it meet the ultimate objective? Well, the law is meant for the minimum wage workers, and statistics have shown that only 4% of the labor, those that are employed, are minimum wage earners, because some belong to firms that are less than 10 workers, so therefore they're exempt. Those who are above 10 workers, there are some violations. So if you cater rules that will benefit only the 4% to the detriment of the rest, it might cause market distortions.
Right. Okay, so much more to discuss with you, Coach Ju, but we have to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Pathways to Success. We'll be right back.
Good morning, I'm Ferdy Salvador, and welcome to Industry Beacon, where we shine a light on the trailblazers, the disruptors, and the leaders shaping our future.
The industry changes quite rapidly.
The industry has evolved, and in fact now it's really like a multidisciplinary approach.
We know where to go. We've got our comfort zone.
Those are early manifestations for the of what
I'm happy you told me that, because now I know I'm not getting Alzheimer's.
Industry Beacon on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Welcome back to Pathways to Success. We're still with our business mentor for today, Jose Leo Caparas, or Coach Ju. Coach Ju, thanks again for joining us today. So we already know that the minimum wage is not enough, especially for those who have families, especially for the breadwinners of the family, right? So, but on the other side, there's a small business owner who also have to make ends meet. He has a lot of costs. So what are the ways to negotiate this?
Okay. We'll go to that. Just to clarify, the minimum wage could be enough for those who are single, who are new entrants to the workforce. It might be adequate. But for those who have families, it's not. So what business owners should consider? Well, let's consider this. In the spirit of solidarity, if you remember your elementary or high school science class, if you're asked this question, what makes a rock solid compared to water or air? A rock is solid is because the molecules are close to each other. In the like manner, families, companies are solid if the members, all the stakeholders are close to each other. So, in the spirit of solidarity, a worker belongs to a family. His needs and aspirations are intertwined with its family. So, that's why we have to also consider the family circumstance. But keep in mind that meeting the wage that is just for a family is not the sole responsibility of the employer. Part of it could be shared by the government by providing free health care or education.
Yes, I was going to go into that. Tell us how the government can also support our MSMEs and at the same time support their employees.
That's right. Well, I love that maybe the government can help by lessening the regulations. Let the business owners do their job. It's because the market is merciless. They will determine who are the winners or not. You don't. When rushing here, I rode a taxi. I see so many regulations of stickers, of things that they have to do. But if you allow market forces to operate, and they will determine who are the winners, they'll put good money to businesses that they find value to it. And those that did not delight their customers will be left in the wayside. So the market will determine who are the winners. Lesser regulations, other things that government could do is support the non-wage benefits. This is better, the regional wage boards is better than a legislated across-the-board wage because the circumstances of each region is different. In the like manner, companies are also different. Ultimately, it's between the employer and the employee who will determine what is just for them.
I'd like to talk more about the support from the government that maybe can help with the household expenses of employees or also help MSMEs. We were flashing that earlier on our screens today. The government subsidies like emergency subsidy program and the targeted cash transfer program. Is this being implemented effectively?
Studies have shown that it is helpful. It's not harmful. However, I'm too worried about this having a big brother or a third party that would intervene between the business negotiations between employer and employee. So maybe as less government intervention as necessary and as much private initiative as possible.
Okay, what about private subsidies? How can employers link their employees to these programs?
I'm so happy you asked that because I've helped several firms do an audit for their companies to find out, comparing what they are actually getting, their wages and non-wage benefits, comparing it with what they should get, and we will see how many people are earning below the threshold family budget that they would need to live decently, so that they can cater their benefits towards those who need it most, such as child allowance or milk fund or some education subsidies, so that it will target those who need it most, and those who are above the threshold will not complain as much because it's targeted. If I don't have a child and the benefit is for those with children who need it most, then all is good. Some benefits such as uniform allowance, work from home benefits, those things could elevate their take-home pay. It's the amount of money that they bring home with them.
What's important is there's a synergy and linkages are open for everyone, for the stakeholders, right? So now, Coach Ju, last August, the NEDA released a 64 pesos a day meal threshold. I'd like to talk about that. That's the meal threshold for each member of a typical Filipino family. Of course, that went viral, if you remember. So what is your take on that, Coach Ju?
Let's look at the typical Filipino family. Some reference families show that family of 5, where parents, a son in college, a daughter in high school, a son in grade school. Not all families have that characteristics. So it's they say that he who generalizes generally lies. Ultimately, you have to look at the actual it's good for baseline figures, policy
Yeah.
on a macro level. But when you go to the actual situation, it would be best to look into the actual circumstances of your company.
So it's clear, like employers should not base their decisions on information on the threshold family budget alone, right? So what should be their basis instead?
There are
Very
many-
quickly, because we're running out of time.
There are many inputs for setting wages: the cost of living, inflation, the economic environment, but normally practitioners, they just compare wages to themselves. How much are you paying with this type of worker? There's a problem with that because they might be comparing it from a low base. So just be wary of these inputs.
Great insights from you, Coach Ju. As always, thank you so much for joining us today. And that is our episode today on Pathways to Success. I'm Mai Rodriguez. We'll see you again tomorrow, only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.